During the 6 years that I served as a senior safety and health specialist and then eventually an industrial hygienist, I learned very quickly the impact of environmental, biological, chemical agents in the workplace in terms of how that can disrupt the workplace. Right now with the COVID-19 pandemic, we're hearing a lot of people who are trying to say you have to put one over the other, the economy or the health. The reality is that the two are interconnected. And let me explain to you why, based on my experiences and what I saw. Any type of biological or chemical, in this particular, we'll say biological, hazard has the potential to stop a work environment. We've seen jobs shut down, and most of us are probably thinking, oh, this is an anomaly. Actually, no, it's not. If you're in an employment arrangement, a lot of times if there is some type of chemical or biological agent that's in the workplace that has to be maintained to keep the workers safe, that workplace usually will be disrupted in order to be able to address that issue. This situation is just a compound of what you will see in an employment environment when they find themselves in an environment where they have to shut down the operation in order to be able to address an issue. I dealt with this when I was stationed with the Marines, where they had an exposure to lead at a particular duty station, a particular location. They stopped all training and all work activity until I could come out and evaluate the situation and provide them with some guidance as to correct that measure. This is what we're having now. We're seeing what happens when you interject something into an environment and the employer has to ensure the safety and well-being of their employees. So it's not a matter of you got to go back to work, the economy will fail, or the health. No. In order for the employers to be able to address and be able to provide the services that the consumers need, they have to ensure that the workplace is safe for their employees. So a public health crisis stops work. So you have to ensure that that is maintained in order to ensure that the job is being done. But it also can affect how you find a job. You got to remember out there's a lot of people who fall in these protected categories, a lot of people who come from multi-generational homes, a lot of people who have different types of health backgrounds. They're not going to want to go into any work environment where they believe that the work environment itself may put them in harm's way. Don't get me wrong. They're going to make some tough choices and they may choose to take certain actions because they have no choice. But if it's a choice between their own health and livelihood and their economic livelihood, some may make the tough choices, but a lot of them may not make that choice, because the simple fact of the matter is that the worst case scenario with this particular pandemic is death. And so if it's a choice between going into work and risking dying, some people may make the choice that they would rather live today and find a job tomorrow as opposed to getting a job today and dying tomorrow. As I indicated before, keeping a job is crucial. So whenever you have any type of exposure to a biological or chemical agent in the workplace, keeping a job is also crucial. If an employee is in a workplace where they are not only worried about the fact that they have to do their job, but that there's not an adequate enough safeguards in place to protect them, that's going to affect their productivity. That's going to affect their ability to do the job. It's going to affect their ability to want to stay there. All those things. Because think about it. If I'm standing there and me and my buddy working and we're not given the proper devices to protect ourselves and the work environment doesn't appear to be working in such a way to ensure our safety and well-being, and people start getting sick of the job, what impact do you think that's going to have on me while I'm working there? Morale is going to get low. The sick leave may go up. All of these different things may happen. And which was one of the reasons why when I was working in this arena, it was important to communicate to employers how these things could impact their workplace. And also just keep in mind doing the job as well. Like I said, we've talked about, I know this sounds crazy. Any type of exposure to a biological chemical agent will affect you looking for a job, okay? Will affect your ability to keep the job because you may lose it because you may start taking time off, but also doing the job. You may be more hypersensitive if you feel that you have to take control of your well-being in the workplace because your employer has not put enough safeguards to protect your well-being. You're going to see a shift in your productivity. I'm not saying it's going to be up, down, or left ways, but you may see a change in how you do things. You don't ever want to leave it into the hands of people that have to figure out what's best for them, because if they believe that they're on their own, they will act like they're on their own. So for those of you who are listening to people who are trying to pitch you into the trap of saying you either have to have a job, the economy, or you have to have your health, the two are interconnected. You cannot separate the two, because the impact of your health is going to impact what you do in your job, and the impact of your job is what's going to happen with your health. So all those things are kept in mind and interconnected. And as soon as you realize this, and as soon as it is completely realized, you see the greater impact it has on the two as a whole, and you recognize that they must work together, not separate and apart.